Nice. Welcome. Let's see what he's announcing at Detroit. What was that? Mm-hmm. Should we skip that, chat? Should we skip it? I got nobody watching. Not yet. Now, I'm not skipping. Once I start, I always, like, half of the stuff is gone. And I really want to see. True. Oh, Trump. But that's true. He's right. He's right on that one. We'll see how that turns out. Yeah, not at all, right?
Hi, Mark. Thank you. Great job you've done. This guy, he negotiates better than anybody around. Thank you. You need it. With Iraq, you need it. You need to be a good negotiator, Mark.
Yeah.
Lassen Sie Ihre Bank nicht einen Teil Ihres Gewinns einstecken. Sparen Sie bis zu 80% Ihrer Gebühren mit Saxo.
Damn. Can't even skip it. All right. Let's go.
I also want to thank Michigan's great congressional delegation. They're amazing. That's been back in Washington due to a very important vote that's coming up. They had a choice. Sir, we want to be with you, but if we're not with you, we're going to lose. But we'll still be with you. I said, no, I'd rather have you win. Don't worry about it. So we're going to win the vote. Representatives Lisa McClain, Jack Bergman, John Molinar, Bill Heisinger, Tim Walberg, John James, and Tom Barrett. They're great people, every one of them. And as many of you remember, I came here at the height of the 2024 campaign.
I gotta check something first because this apparently.
campaign to lay out my plan to bring jobs and factories and wealth racing back to the United States and coming back to the great state of Michigan. And just a few weeks later, the people of this state and the voters
Just like to check. I like to check something. People, the future is scary. Yeah, it's not me, boys. It's not me. I had to check that. That was quite weird.
all across the country endorsed that vision and
Yeah.
a landslide victory. We won.
They
everything.
messed
We
up
won all
the
7
microphones.
6. We won the
You know
Electoral
what?
College 3.
They messed that up.
Detroit Economic Club, Steve Gregorian. Where's Steve? Steve? While he didn't win the popular vote, he won the Electoral College, to the United States and coming back to the great state of Michigan. And just a few weeks later, the people of this state and the voters all across the country endorsed that vision in a landslide victory. We won everything. We won all 7 swing states. We won the Electoral College 312 to 226. We won the popular vote by millions and millions of... Oh, it's so nice to win the popular vote. I won the popular vote all 3 times, too, but we're not going to get into that. But the first time they said I didn't win the popular vote, but I won the Electoral College. So they always said, while he didn't win, this is the way I got introduced every time. While he didn't win the popular vote, he won the Electoral College, So this is the way I was introduced for 3 years.
Yeah, he's not wrong.
Guess what? We said, I'm going back, we're going to win and we won the popular vote by a lot. So they can't say that crap anymore. And the thing that was most impressive, we won 86% of all counties in America, 2,700 to 525. Think of that, 2,700 to 525. And that's why when you look at the maps on Republican, Democrat, with red being Republican, as most of you know by now, I think. Every once in a while you see one where they have it reversed. I said, why would we do that? Well, we think it looks better. I said, look, red is Republican. Let's not try and change the voters' minds on things. Just do it that way. And the map was virtually all right. That was about the counties. That was the 2,700 to 505, 550, I think is the exact number. Most importantly, we won a historic mandate to make America great again. And that's what we're doing. We're making America great again like never before.
Yeah, I mean, like, he has some active decisions, not some passive bullshit that other people did.
Great people. And all I'm doing is spewing over what the hell we've done. Even Venezuela wasn't too bad, was it, huh?
Venezuela was great.
Say, I don't know if we
45 minutes, 30 minutes, 1 hour, whatever it was. They went in quick.
That was as flawless an attack as there has ever been.
Yeah. Gotta give him that credit. Gotta give him that credit.
50 million barrels of oil. They said, take it. It's $5 billion. And we did. We're working with the Venezuelan people and representatives, and it's amazing. But that was an amazing situation. But we did al-Baghdadi, flawless. We did Soleimani, flawless. We did the Iran nuclear attack where we wiped out their nuclear capacity, which would have been very bad. You wouldn't have peace in the Middle East, flawless. We did them all flawless. I want to keep it going that way, too. I like flawless. Think about Jimmy Carter, the great Jimmy Carter, with the helicopters.
I'm skeptical about that Iran nuclear missile program. Not quite sure, because Benjamin Netanyahu always,
with Afghanistan,
and again, Sleepy Joe Biden, he just puts it in there. He just puts it in there like it's nothing. Like it's nothing. Oh, boys. It's always funny. Nah, but I'm really skeptical about the Iranian nuclear power plant. Like I'm very skeptical about that one because Netanyahu keeps on saying the same sentence since like 30 years, for like 30 years. And there's something fishy about it.
History of our country, in my opinion. Real dope. Now, after less than 12 months in office,
Real
I'm back
dope.
in Michigan to report to you on the
He
strongest
gives
and
off
fastest
Suge Knight
economic turnaround
vibes.
in our country's history. It's really been historic. There's never been, we're not 12 months, we're through 11 months. We've got $18 trillion being invested in our country. The most of any country ever was 3. We're at 18. There's never been anything like this. You are so lucky I allow you into this room to even be with me. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. The fake news will say Donald Trump thinks he's hot stuff. Right now I'm feeling pretty good, though, I will say. Oh, you're so lucky to be here. Under our administration, growth is exploding, productivity is soaring, investment is booming, incomes are rising.
There's always a
Inflation
downside
is
to that.
defeated.
Never forget that, people.
America is respected again like never before. And other than that, we're not doing that well.
I'm still here. Just gotta
Now
turn
think
that
of all
sound
those
off.
things I just said.
It's irritating.
Inflation down, growth at an all-time high, stock market every day, 48 days in a row, 48 days during the course of 11 months, we hit a new high on the stock market, all of them. 1 year ago, we were a dead country. Now we are the hottest country anywhere in the world. That was said to me by many leaders. By almost every metric, we have quickly gone from the worst numbers on record to the best and strongest numbers, the most dynamic numbers.
Yeah, he's the most confrontational president that. I mean, like Putin is on the list too.
I didn't think it was, but people said
Putin is not
you're
scared to back
optimistic.
the fuck
Turns
down.
out to be very pessimistic by compared to what we've done.
True.
But we'll go down as the greatest in history, greatest first year in history nobody's ever had, just based on the numbers, based only on the numbers, not based on me, based only on the numbers, because, you know, you get these guys like the governor of California likes to say how well he's doing. California's doing horrendously, but he says that well. We base it on numbers. There's never been numbers like this. Through 4 long years before I took office, crooked Joe Biden and his allies in Congress inflicted the economic nightmare.
Joe Biden was horrible.
Stagflation. How many times have you heard the
horrible.
word? We hit it with Joe. We hit everything. What a disaster.
Man, I was always on Trump's side. He's the better psychopath to choose.
How does that work? Not good. So you have lousy growth and high inflation. In fact, it's the lowest growth ever and the worst inflation in the history of our country. That is really tantamount to not having a good 4 years, right? In other words, Sleepy Joe and the people that ran the auto pen were a complete and total disaster for our nation. They were a disaster for our nation.
Just gotta check
They
something.
won the election less than 1 year ago. We would have been, as I've often said, Venezuela on steroids. Now I'm Venezuela's biggest fan. We're working with them, but they came down from a very high number to a disaster, a disaster. And we would have been Venezuela on steroids, and we're bringing Venezuela back, and we're going to be great for Venezuela, great for our country. We're taking in, as I said,
see, even the people from of Venezuela are like agreeing to that. So you can't really discredit that fact. You can't.
And values of over $5 billion. That's in 1 day. Just think of it. The biggest ships in the world can take 1 million barrels. The biggest ships in the world take 1 million. We have 50 million barrels. We need 50 of the biggest ships in the world just to get it out. We're bringing it in to be refined. It's an incredible feeling. It's great. Winning is a good thing. We're going to work with Venezuela. We'll make that country very strong again. We'll get oil prices down even further. We have it down at about a 6-year low, 7-year low, but we're going to get it down further. Joe Biden gave us a colossal stagflation catastrophe, but my administration's rapidly and very decisively ended that. We have quickly achieved the exact opposite of stagflation, almost no inflation and super high growth. So we have the highest growth we've ever had. Think of that. The highest growth we've ever had, and we've only been there 11 months. Think of what we can do for the rest of it. But do we have wood around here? I want to knock on a little wood. They have one little. Everything's plastic nowadays. It's very tough. Now we have the greatest growth, and
He's not wrong about that one.
Way down. But we inherited.
He's not wrong about that one,
worst
Chad.
inflation in the history of our country. The fake news would say 49 years. So when I say the history, they give me a lot of time, but I believe it's the history. But let's say 49 years. Would you say 49 years is okay, right? It's pretty bad. What do you think, Mr. Senator, Mr. Future Senator? I'd say 49. What sounds worse, 49 years or history? I think 49 years almost sounds worse. Maybe I'll just use it and I won't argue with these people. As
I
of
say
this morning,
his.
core inflation for the past 3 months has been just
I'm sorry about that
1.6%.
sound. Can't turn it off.
Just announced just before I came on stage.
But I will
GDP is
get it
smashing
fixed tomorrow.
expectations with the fastest growth for this country in many years. The fourth quarter is projected at 5.4%, and that's despite the Democrat shutdown where we lost at least 1.5 points. You know, the Democrat.
It's my wife's
shutdown,
working
we would have had
station,
close to 7.
so
Think of
not
that.
interfering
Close to
into
7.
that. Not
They were
today.
projecting too. The fakers were projecting too. And if we keep deregulating and adding more capacity, like I saw today at Ford, and if we don't raise interest rates every time good news is mentioned. You know, in the old days, I'm probably old. I used to be up at these lecterns and I'd say I'm younger than pretty much everybody in the room. Now I say I'm older than pretty much everybody in the room. I like it the other way better, actually.
You know what?
You're too young, but in the old days, when you had
I haven't
good
thought of
numbers,
that.
interest rates would go down. When you had good numbers, the market would go through the roof. That's the way we're going to make it again. That's the old-fashioned way. That's the right way. Today, if you announce great numbers, they raise interest rates to try and kill it. So you can never really have the kind of rally you should have. What happens and what we want, we're going to have a lot of great months, a lot of great quarters. I want the market to go up. You announce unbelievable numbers and the market goes down because they know you're going to do everything possible. In the Fed, we have a real stiff in the Fed, but that's for another day. But they raise rates. So everyone says, oh, they announced great numbers. It's great, great, great. And the market goes down because they immediately raise rates. No. When the market goes up, they should lower rates. You want to see 20% and 25%? You want to see what we can do? We've got to go back to an old standard. When there's good news, the market should go up, not go down. Does that make sense to everybody? And that's the way it used to be for most of the time. That's the way you make a country great. But our growth potential is unlimited and could be much higher if we went back to sanity. We're not doing it anymore. We're talking about the head of the Fed, and I want somebody that when the market is doing great, interest rates can go down because our country becomes stronger. See, you view it differently. Our country becomes stronger, and therefore interest rates should go down, not up. They kill every rally. If it's, no matter who, if it's beyond me as president, it's no matter who's president. You have a good quarter, and they want to kill it because they're so petrified of inflation. And growth and inflation don't necessarily go hand in hand. You can have growth and very low inflation. In fact, oftentimes growth is good for low inflation. So we're going to work on that, Scott, right? I think we're going to work on that very hard. I mean it so strongly. It's sickening. We announce good numbers and we see the stock market drop.
Look, a lot of people are angry. I mean, like, especially in Europe. I mean, like, in everywhere, people are angry with Trump. But, like, he puts your country first. And it's one of the biggest countries. Russia puts his country first as well. China puts his country first as well. There's a lot of countries that don't do that. I can name like 10 of the top of my head in only Europe that are not doing that. They're not putting their country first, and he's doing it. That's why he's hated by a lot of people. Don't get it twisted. He does some idiotic stuff, some crazy stuff that I mean, with the tariffs, because it affects everybody. But I understand that you gotta kind of reverse what the previous administration did. You gotta reverse that, and it makes sense. But not a lot of people will like it. They will not like it, and to a certain degree, it's their fault because the ability to see the bigger picture is not in everybody's strength. It's just not.
300 points. I say, what the hell is going on? Do you agree with me? It should be just the opposite. All right, Scott agrees, so I'm very happy about this. That means if he didn't agree, I wouldn't do it. But we're already growing double, triple, and even quadruple the speed of almost every other major economy on Earth. We're the #1 economy on Earth, too. And the results are in, and the Trump economic boom is officially begun. It's really begun almost from the beginning. Almost begun
Until AI
really
hits.
from November 5th.
Watch out.
You know, on another metric.
1 year, 2 years.
Just before the election, it was almost impossible to get people to join the military. We had the worst enlistment in the history of our country. The worst. You couldn't get people for the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, the Marines, Space Force, the Coast Guard. You couldn't get people. And since right after the election, but especially since after January 20th when we took office, we have now the strongest enlistment we've ever had in the history of our country. We've never enlisted people so quickly, so easily. And we enlist by merit.
Yeah, I mean, like, that woke mindset was probably even in the military. I mean, like, it actually was. There's plenty of facts and statements out there that prove that generals were even brainwashed and left radicalized. It's absolutely horrible what went through there. And our government is not that compromised. We have some dumb shit as well. But you see how Switzerland is doing? Can't really talk shit about my country, even though I know it's the crown of the devil. We sit at the top. It's just facts. But they never mention Switzerland because it's like a silent getaway retreat, even for the elite. And that's something you cannot beat. Let's get back to his speech. That was a nice fight. Yeah.
You know, we won a Supreme Court case that said you hire by merit. You go to college now by merit. Everything's by merit. Our country became great because of merit. And we have done some job. But think of it, a year and a half ago, we had the worst enlistment in history. And
to specify what I meant with like that Switzerland is the crown of the devil is like the banking systems, the gold, the mountains, everything that we have. Like, mountains are not really a factor, but we wash a lot of money. In Zurich, there's Masonic buildings. There's the Freimaurer Loge group that actively engages Birkenstock, Lausanne. There's a lot of places where the elite Jews, high-level families, not that I admire them, but still high-level status families that operate here. And that's why, like, involuntarily, we are the crown of the financial devil. We are. Sure. We are one tip of the crown. There's like few crowns, but we are the crown. Switzerland is, look why we're doing so great. Not even Israel, the state itself is doing great, but all the money is coming through Switzerland. All the money, a lot of money is coming through here. A lot of money. It's no secret that Zurich is like Cayman Island level status.
Now we have the best enlistment. Things like that don't happen. You might go from
but involuntarily,
okay.
the people
You don't go
are
from
cool.
The worst in history to the best in history, but that's what we've done, every one of them. And that includes police and firefighters. It was very hard to get police. It was very hard to get firefighters, and now everybody wants those jobs. In 4 years of Biden, they secured less than $1 trillion of new investment in the United States. So 4 years, less than $1 trillion. In less than 1 year, I have secured commitments for over $18 trillion from all over the world, the most ever for any country.
No, that's crazy.
Think
That's
of that,
actually
though.
crazy.
They did, and I'll tell you what, had she won, it would be a disaster because you would have people leave. You would have not had 1 trillion, you would have had 5 trillion, 10 trillion leaving the country, and your welfare would have doubled. When you look at what's going on in Minnesota, is that a disgrace? Is that a disgrace? But we'll talk about
Yes,
that. Under Biden,
yes,
we had
it's
the
a
highest trade
disgrace.
deficit ever recorded, losing more
Tim
than
Walz
$1
for
trillion
president
every
2026.
single year. How about that? It was killing Michigan, and everywhere else in our country was being absolutely destroyed. But in a matter of months, largely because of tariff income and the election result, we've slashed that gaping trade deficit by, in a short period of time, 62, it just came out, 62%. People are stunned. The fake news back there, look at those cameras rocking and rolling. No, the fake news back there is,
I
they're
just
very
love it
upset about
how
it,
he
actually.
calls them out.
But they're stunned. They can't believe it. We cut our trade deficit in actually 10 months was when the number came out. We cut it by 62%. It's going to go better than that now. The stock market is now the highest in history since the election. We've set all of those records, and I think an all-time record that's so important to me because so many people have them is boosting 401ks and retirement accounts for millions and millions of Americans, people that are in the police departments, the fire departments, people that are
That's true.
construction workers. A policeman came up to me recently, a nice guy guarding me. He's a perfect guy to guard me. He was a massive guy, big, strong guy. He said, "Sir, you made me look so good in front of my wife. My wife thought I was a horrible investor because every time I invested, we lost money. And we have a 401k, and I'm up like 85%. She thinks I'm Warren Buffett. She thinks I'm brilliant. She's now calling me brilliant. It makes my life much easier. I love my wife much more now. She calls me brilliant every time. I said, don't worry, you're going to do even better for the next 3 years. But one of the biggest reasons for this unbelievable success has been our historic use of tariffs. There was the tariff that made America strong and powerful in past generations, and then we got off it and we went to the income tax system. Great going, fellas. You know, we were the strongest in 1887, relatively speaking. That was around the McKinley time, and Teddy Roosevelt and some others, but we were really strong. It was all tariffs. And I know what happened. Some of these countries got together and they say, hey, convince the United States that it's no good, the tariff system is unfair to us. And so some genius, I know who, I don't want to get into it, but some genius said, oh, let's go to an income tax system. So instead of foreign companies and countries paying everything, the people started paying. And then after that, you had a depression, but that was a long time. That was in like 1913, you had the tariff switched into income tax. And then in and they like to blame tariffs. You ever notice they blame tariffs? No, they brought tariffs back in 1932. They brought them back to try and save the sucker. But it was in 1929, because a lot of people, you know, the anti-tariff people. Now, an anti-tariff person is a pro-Chinese person, like Koch. This guy's fought me in every election I've ever been in, and I've kicked his ass. He inherited a lot of money, and I don't know the gentleman. But he fights me, and then he goes out and says, I made more money with Trump than I ever made in my life. And then he supports these other people that were total losers.
Insider trading.
Gives them a lot of
A
money.
lot of people were
But he made
millionaires.
more money. Everybody makes money with me. I always made money for people. And now it's
That's
tariffs
true,
that
but
are
like,
making money for Michigan. And the entire country is stronger and safer and richer than ever before outside of that period of time. Now, if they had what was called the
even
Great
his
Tariff
son,
Act of
like even Baron
1887
Trump.
or something like that, and it was a great group of people like yourselves. They picked really smart people to sit on a committee. They had so much money they didn't know what to do with it, and they wanted to have the money given away. You know, we built the Panama Canal out of tariffs. We did a lot of things. Panama Canal was the single biggest investment, relatively speaking, that this country's ever made. Would be the equivalent of trillions of dollars today. And Jimmy Carter gave it away for $1. It was also the most profitable thing ever built. Thing. In other words, like buildings or casinos or anything, the most profitable thing ever built was the Panama Canal. And brilliantly, Jimmy Carter thought the country of Panama should have it, even though we lost 36,000 people to the mosquito. You know that, right? to the mosquito and a
That's
sticky
crazy.
snake, which was not a very nice reptile.
That's crazy.
This was a brutal reptile. You got bit, it was over. It was just saying, bye-bye, everybody. We lost 36,000 people. Malaria,
Oh
mosquito,
my
and
god.
the snake. And
So
he
it's
gave
just
it
like the
away
way he
for
talks, like
$1.
constantly.
Well, at least we got $1.
But he
That's better
get
than most of those guys do. We got $1.
he sometimes gets off
Most
topic.
expensive thing ever built, most profitable thing ever built, too. Makes so much money. Every prediction the critics made about our tariff policy has failed to materialize. The evidence shows overwhelmingly that the tariffs are not paid by American consumers, that they're paid by foreign nations and middlemen. And Scott went over that with us before, and they're paid by middlemen. They raise the thing. Countries get involved. They pay them because otherwise they won't have companies. They won't be viable. And we're the big beneficiary. Once again, the so-called experts were 100% wrong, and Trump was right. People of Michigan were 100% right. You elected the right guy. If you had the other person, everybody, we wouldn't even be having a meeting today, probably. There'd be no meeting.
But
The
like
Economic Club
maybe
would be saying, like,
how
"Man,
about
we're doing bad. It's going to be awfully tough to get people."
you clean up California? That state is a mess. Like political, law enforcement wise, judicial wise, it's just a mess. Like in every aspect, Hollywood, everything. But then there's Hollywood is like a separate bubble where he has to watch himself that he doesn't shorten his lifespan with he empowers the people he wants, and sometimes these people are not the right choice, especially not sometimes they're the perfect fit for the job, but sometimes it's just like questionable why these people make a lot of money. It's questionable. That's all I gotta say to it because I don't know much more about their day-to-day insider or not insider trading business. So I don't know. And honestly, we don't know too. And that what makes it so creepy. Quote unquote creepy. Yeah.
Show up. This is going to be tough, the chairman. This is going to not be a good day for us. We don't want to have. Let's cancel the meeting immediately. The Trump tariffs have delivered us trillions of dollars of new investment, unprecedented new partnerships on minerals, rare earths, defense, and artificial intelligence, and historic levels of
Iran's next on the
foreign
list.
military
Let's see when
subsidy. You
he
have the
talks
Supreme
about
Court now
that.
going to rule on whether or not we can use tariffs. Can you believe this? A case brought about by people that are China-centric, foreign-centric, but China-centric. I wouldn't want it if I was China either. You know, China's one of our biggest taxpayers right now. China, would you ever believe you'd hear that? And they've been great. My relationship with President Xi has been great, but we have a group that's foreign-centric, China-centric, suing. And
China's
we'll
not
figure
that bad,
something out. If
like
they don't
everybody
win, but we
thinks.
should win. I mean, we
China
should
is
win.
really
It's
not
so
that
great
bad.
for national security. I ended 8 wars. Think of that. 8 wars. And without trade and tariffs, you wouldn't have been able to
Yeah, he likes to
end any of them.
talk credit,
They
like take
brought
credit for that
hundreds
one.
of billions of dollars pouring into the
But
United
fair.
States
I
Treasury,
mean, like
helped
you
curb
end a war.
inflation, and helped cut the federal budget deficit by a staggering 27%, and that's only for a short period of time. The number's much
But
bigger
never
than
forget,
that
they
when you
always
left me
hate
for a year.
the one who speaks
And I
facts.
told people I got into a lot of
The
trouble
one
because
who
of the fake news.
uncovers truth
I told people,
is
I
always
said, tariff is my favorite
the one who's
word.
being the most
I
hated
said,
in the
my
room.
favorite word of every word is
And
tariff. I
he
loved
sometimes
it for
is.
40 years. I came here
He
many
always
years
is.
ago. Remember they said I didn't come here. Then they found out I did. I got an award in Detroit, in Michigan, many years ago. And still
Okay.
have it. They said it never happened.
For what?
It did happen. Turned out I didn't notice any apology. But all I did was talk about you're losing your car industry. This was long before I ran for politics. They said you're losing. I said, why are you allowing these foreign nations to take your car? You know, you lost 57% of your car industry. The good news is you're getting it back. But I said, why aren't you using tariffs? I've been very consistent, I will tell you that, for years and years. Even as a private businessman, for years I used to, because I get, for whatever reason, a lot of publicity always. I don't know if that's good or bad, but it happens. And I talk about the importance. But I said, recently. I said, tariff is my favorite word in the whole dictionary. There's no word. And I took a lot of heat. They said, what about your wife, your children? What about religion and God? What about Jesus? So I said, all right, it's my fifth favorite word. And since then, I've been fine. They hit me hard, these people, the fake news. They were killing me over tariff. He likes tariff more than his wife, more than religion. He likes tariff more than anything. What a disgrace. So I now call it number 5, and I'm in good shape. That was a rough day. It's my favorite word, and I got killed. Every word, you know, when you go up here, you take a big chance, especially because I go off teleprompter about 80% of the time. But isn't it nice to have a president that can go off teleprompter? What do you think? Remember the speeches Joe would make? First of all, they'd last a matter of seconds, you know. Thank you very much. You ever notice Joe would always cough before a speech? State of the Union, he gets, ladies and gentlemen. And then it would be like very short. Although the one time they had him spruced up pretty good. Remember, he was high as a kite. He was floating. He was up there way up. That was a bad speech. But
those speeches were impeccable for the memes and everything, but it was horrible. And it's actually disgusting the way the political party treated him. Like,
what they did, because
what they did. They empowered a sick man. And my dad has dementia, and I know how it feels. So, like, I quite usually made the comparison about, like, it feels like they empowered my dad. And I've seen, like, interviews and stuff, and I'm like, it's actually sad. Sure, there's the meme side of it and the funny side, and you gotta accept it because that's how it is. Like, especially for, like, a foreign citizen, gotta accept it. But it's actually sad what they did. It's cruel what they did to him or, like, with him. And it's sad what they did to a country, because the US was great once. 1970. Yeah, I mean, like, it was bullshit. Always. Don't you forget that, guys. There was always shit going down. Always. Not just with Trump, not just with Biden, not just with Obama, not just with the guy before that, Bush. With everybody. And that's the problem. But what they did the last 4 years was actually sickening and sad. And I don't understand how people could openly. I saw it as a young teen. I saw through it from Europe. Maybe we're more educated, and that's not a lie. A lot of people are very dumb. Very. American educational system is a joke. It's a horrible laughing stock. And I saw through it when Biden ran for office, and I was like, bro, these people can't be serious. Even one of my favorite musicians, Eminem, he even was on his side, and I'm like, bro, it's getting to that point where I lose respect for a lot of these guys. You could publicly see that he I fill in the blank. You could publicly see that he was getting worse, and he ran for office, and I absolutely believe that he got duplicated or, like, replaced by a humanoid copycat or, like, whatever, doppelganger, because it was sad.
it was the people surrounding that beautiful Resolute desk. But just as I promised you that I've imposed a 25% tariff on all foreign automobiles, I'm standing up for the American auto worker like no president has ever stood up before. You know, those tariffs are keeping the foreign auto workers. Now, if they want to come in and build the plant and hire you and hire your friends and your neighbors, that's great. I love that. Let China come in, let Japan come in. They are. And they'll be building plants, but they're using our labor. U.S. auto factories are now seeing more than $70 billion of new investment. Think of that. They were leaving. They were all going. They were going in the opposite direction. Now they're pouring back. It's the greatest. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. And much of that money is coming right here to the car-making capital of the world, Detroit. You lost, I mean, so many places. Since I took office, Ford has announced it will invest $5 billion across its Michigan and Kentucky plants, creating 4,000 new jobs. GM is moving production of the Chevy Blazer and Equinox from Mexico right back here to America. Right? Is my favorite auto worker here by any chance? You know who I'm talking about. What happens? Where's Brian? Brian, oh, I see. He made some cash. He's after Florida. Oh, he's been very disloyal to Detroit. We're going to have to. He is such a great guy, right? Man, that guy fought for me when it wasn't the popular thing to do. He fought for me from day one. Well, you tell him I said hello to him, all right? That guy, he got it. 4 years ago, he got it, right at the beginning. He understood it better than anybody, better than the great economists. They had no clue. And Stellantis is investing $13 billion to expand its U.S.-based manufacturing plant by more than 50%. Stellantis doing a good job. Never before has an administration achieved such sweeping and dramatic turnarounds as has taken place just in this very short period of time. I mean, you're talking about 11 months. 11 months and you have a different business. 11 months and you're booming. I just spoke to an AI guy, and that's booming too. You know, we're leading China in AI by a lot. I'm letting them build their own electric plants.
I'm not quite sure I believe that.
You know, the amount of electricity.
I'm not quite sure I believe that. If US is actually leading, we gotta believe that because the dollar is linked to the military
So I said, we can't do that.
sector.
And then I had the idea. When they build these $50 billion plants,
I'm not quite sure I believe that.
They're already building
Not quite sure.
plants to take care of their plant. And any excess electricity, they'll sell it back to our country. It's an unbelievable, and therefore, we're going to build. I think if they really added, you know, you hear how much, and I have great respect.
I don't know who it was. Nick Irving. The Reaper, like that military guy. He said it once like that they had a real problem fighting guys with sandals and like that an advanced military warfare would against like someone like China would be. They got the people, man. I mean, like, yeah, sure. I mean, like, they have exceptional training. The military, but I'm not quite sure, man. Think about it. Like, really think about it. The military, the advancement, technology. Chinese people are like, they are smarter than a lot of other nations and cultures. China as a whole, China has been real quiet. Always been quiet. They got a close network. I mean, like, I'm aware of that. But still. They hella quiet. The only thing we really know and hear about China is like sometimes when the Ministry of Foreign Affairs or like some other dude like speaks for China. But other than that, it's quiet. So never poke the bear. I respect the US military and all that, blah blah blah. Sure. But still. Never underestimate the other giants. And they're discrediting Russia, like with their military equipment that it's not up to date. They're discrediting Russia very much. And they're still pumping gas up Zelensky's ass. Cash and gas.
But you hear they're building a lot of electricity, but we are too. But we're having it built privately. They're going to own their own electric. They're becoming their own electricity producer. And when they heard this idea, they thought it was great, but they didn't take it seriously because they said it's too good to be true. But then they realized that I was serious. They were getting them 2 and 3 week approvals. They don't have to wait for 20 years before they get rejected. You know, in the old days, they had to wait for 20 years, and then they get rejected at the end of 20 years. Guys would give up their whole career trying to get one approval, and then they get rejected. In every aspect of our agenda, we're putting America first, and nothing will stand in our way. Nothing's going to stand in our way. Nothing. So one of our top priorities of this mission is promoting greater affordability. Now, that's a word used by the Democrats. They're the ones that cause the problem. The one thing, they stick together. They don't have some of the people that we have. I don't know, it's a genetic thing. It's something in the blood. We got some real losers. Most of them. But I wouldn't use the name Romney because I'm in his sort of territory. But so I would never use that name. But
At least he's honest, man. Like,
they don't have a Mitt Romney that votes against everything. They don't have a Rand Paul that votes against everything. I got him elected twice. He was a stone cold loser. I went to Kentucky where I won by a lot. I did a rally for him. Then I did another rally. He won. Then I went the second time. He won. Then he votes against all the time. It's just crazy. I don't get it. Then you have Lisa Murkowski and you have Susan Collins. Disasters. And you had a gentleman from Indiana that I don't believe it, Todd Young, he voted against. And you'd say, why are you voting against? They can't give you an answer. They're unable to give you an answer. It's like, why are they against the attack on Venezuela? They're against the attack after they found out it was the most successful attack, probably the most talented, most brilliant tactically attack that we've had maybe in 100 years. And they're against it. Why? It's one thing if the attack failed. I'd probably do that too, a change. I'd be in favor. Then if it failed, I'd say, I told him not to do it. That's what they did. But here we have one of the most successful attacks ever. And they find a way to be against it. It's pretty amazing. But it's a shame. And we have some others, but not many. We have a great party, but we have people, the Democrats, whether you like them or not, they stick together like glue. They have horrible policy. Thank God they have horrible policy. Because they're smart, they're evil, they're vicious, but they're bad policy. For instance, you could be a genius and try selling men playing in women's sport. You could be a genius, try selling transgender for everybody, open borders, let the world come in, let the world's prison population come into the United States, including all of the murders, 11,888. That's what we're trying to get out of Chicago and Minnesota and these places. So they stick together.
Some of these places are a mess.
But they have horrible policy. Can you imagine if they had good policy? They were on this morning talking to all the reasons that men should be playing in women's sports. They had a football guy there.
Yeah, that's absolutely disgusting.
This guy was like 6'6". He weighed 290 pounds with zero body fat. And they had a few young women. They were the size of his leg. He wouldn't have had to run. He could have just walked. They couldn't have done a thing about it. 10 of them would have to jump on him that wouldn't have had any impact. I don't think he would have been like a fly. It's so ridiculous. It's so demeaning to women. It's so demeaning. Look at the weightlifting records. I mean, the record got beaten by 112 pounds, a record that stood for 18 years. 1 ounce they'd put on stood for 18 years. Guy comes along who was a poor lifter as a man. He was at the lower portion of the class. Comes along and broke the record by 112 pounds. Think of that. They've fought for years to beat that record. How about the swimming records? I mean, you can go to sleep during the time the man comes in and the woman. You can go take a nap for a little while. How about the long-distance race that took place not so long ago? Long distance, marathon deals. They had top men, top women. The man came in. The woman came in 5 hours and 14 minutes and 36 seconds behind the man. Think of it. You're waiting. The man comes in. Now you're waiting 5 hours. What do you do if you're the parents? You go home and sleep for a while. Who the hell wants that? It's so demeaning to women and who are great athletes. It's so demeaning to them, and it's right now in the Supreme Court. I can't believe it would even go to the Supreme Court. I mean, could you imagine 20 years ago talking about men playing in women's sports? They think you're crazy.
That was absolutely insane. It would have not hold up.
If you said there would be no mutilation, on children. That's one of my standard lines. We will not allow the
For that
mutilation
one,
of a
he's
child.
absolutely great.
Can you
We can't
imagine
deny it.
having to say that?
For that,
15
he's
years ago,
absolutely
people would say,
great.
is that guy crazy? Of course we won't. But we're living in a different time. It's a crazy time we're living in. After real wages plummeted by $3,000 under Sleepy Joe Biden,
Sleepy
real
Joe
wages
Biden.
are up by $1,300 in less than 1 year under President Trump. For construction workers, wages are up $1,800. Don't forget, they were down $3,000. Factory workers over $2,000, and for many other workers, over $5,000. And I just gave the military, because we're doing so well, we're taking in so much money with the tariffs, I just gave them $1,776. You saw that, right? Did you see that? They had 75, and I said, you know, if you had one more dollar at 1776, they said that was a good idea. We could afford one more dollar. We gave them 1776. Meanwhile, grocery prices are starting to go rapidly down. Rent is down. Airfares are down. Hotel rates are down.
Is that
Cell
true?
phone prices are down.
Not
We're just getting
really.
started, but more importantly than going
Not
down,
really.
our growth
Right?
is through the roof. It's way up. Among my first acts in
Maybe
office was
it's
to end
starting.
the radical left war on oil and gas and stop the crusade to kill American energy, and frankly, to open up cars so that you don't have to have an electric car. I love electric cars. I think they're great. I like Elon a lot. I don't think he was too happy with my policy of opening it up, and I can understand that. But I've been saying it for 4 years. They wanted everybody to have an electric car in a very short period of time. There was no way to build the stations. There was no way to get it done. I want you to have gasoline-powered cars. I want you to have electric. I want you to have hybrids. I want you to have everything. Hydrogen, I don't know about. I'm hearing it's not testing so well.
Hydrogen is actually
except
testing
when there's an
fine.
explosion, you're a goner. Now, have you heard that with hydrogen? Now, one guy's trying to sell hydrogen, and I say, yeah, but, sir, that only happens 1 in 100. Oh, great. When it happens, they find the body like 300 yards down the road. So I said, I'll pass on hydrogen. Maybe there's something I don't know about, but is anybody in the hydrogen car business? Gasoline is now under $2.50 a gallon in 17 states and under $2 in many places. We have some states it's $1.95, $1.99, $1.97. As we speak, these
I can't wait for
gas
that too, because
stations,
like the gas prices
think of
will
that. We have
affect
gas
the whole
stations in
world.
the Detroit area where you
It's,
can
it's
fill up
at
for
least the
less than
Nordic,
$2.30 a
the
gallon, whereas 2
Western
years
North
ago it was $4.50,
Hemisphere.
and in many places it was way over $5. Think of that, $2.30. You see it. That's like a massive tax cut, which we gave you under the great big beautiful bill, by the way. No tax on tips, no tax on Social Security, no tax on overtime. And with our extremely successful operation in Venezuela earlier this month, that number soon is going to go lower because we're going to have a lot more energy. We're going to have a lot more, as opposed to a country that's going to be totally shut down. No fuel, no gasoline. And it's, you know, they say it's got more than Saudi Arabia. Who knows? It's got a lot. And by the way, to all Iranian patriots, keep protesting. Take over your institutions if possible. And save the name of the killers and the abusers that are abusing you. You're being very badly abused. If the numbers are right now, I hear 5 different sets of numbers. I hear numbers, look, 1 death is too much. But I hear much lower numbers, and then I hear much higher numbers. But I say save their names because they'll pay a very big price. And I've canceled all meetings with the Iranian officials until the senseless killing of protesters stops.
Now we got it. Now we got it.
You saw that I put tariffs on anybody doing business with Iran.
Why is my frames dropping again? Not really though, but yeah, it is. Isn't it? Better? The reason for my texting right now, I don't have to like tell you anything, but still, like there's a pre-sale for Bruno Mars concert tickets, and my wife actually wants one, and it's 12 o'clock, but she's in the queue. So, but we got to the Iranian topic.
Just went into effect today, and I say make Iran great again. You know, it was a great country until these monsters came in and took it over. And it's all very fragile. What would have happened to us? I'm telling you. If I didn't win this election, what would have happened to us? In the coming weeks, I will be laying out even more plans to help bring back affordability. And again, remember, that's a fake word by Democrats. Prices were too high. They caused the high price. They never want to talk about affordability. They always go, this is an election about affordability. I say, they caused it. But they're good at that stuff. They're good at that stuff. They're fake, and they're good at that stuff. It's an election about high prices that was caused by the Democrats and that I brought down a lot. And remember, when you see energy coming down like I brought it down, and gasoline coming down, that brings everything else down. It's so much bigger than any other factor. When gasoline gets to be $1.99 a gallon, everything comes down. The donuts come down, the truck that delivers the donuts, the stove that makes the donuts, the whole thing, it all comes down. And it's coming down much faster than anybody can even believe. And remember, though, I always say, because normally when that goes down, the world comes down. That's the bad way of bringing it down. Our growth is through the roof. So I always want to say that whenever I say prices are coming down, but our growth is going way up. Two beautiful events, the exact opposite of the Biden administration. As part of those efforts at Davos, next week I'm going to provide much more detail about our housing policies so that every American who wants to own a home will be able to afford one. We have some great things happening with housing, as you know. You saw the
Yeah, I got it
$200
covered.
buy-in on bonds, on mortgages.
Fine,
This will
nice.
include a ban on large institutional investors buying up single-family homes all over the country and making it impossible for people to buy a home. And I've
He's
also
getting
announced that the
exhausted.
U.S. government is
I mean,
purchasing
like,
$200 billion of mortgage bonds to bring down mortgage rates, and it's had a huge impact. It's already started. And just last week,
you can't deny the ability, like his ability to speak constantly about every topic. I wonder if he's after the speech, he's like, oh, I said some wrong things, or like during the course of like what I was saying, that fact rapidly changed, right? Like something he couldn't foresee, or like did I forget that? Yeah, I forgot that, or like, oh, I missed that point. Should have given credits to that, but it feels very like he's not forgetting any point. But I'm new to that genre. I love it. I've always been a politic guy, and my camera's still lagging. All right, I think we're getting to that point where 50-minute plus videos. I only got a MacBook. I'm starting with like casual shit, but let's get through it.
average 30-year mortgage dropped below 6% for the first time in many years. It's coming down very rapidly, and that's not with the help of the Fed. If I had the help of the Fed, it would be easier. But that jerk will be gone soon. In addition, I proudly called for the credit card companies to cap interest rates at 10% for 1 year because they're getting 28 and 30% and 32%. And it's unfair. The rates are way too high. To provide further relief to hardworking Americans, we'll also be confronting one of the biggest factors in driving up prices, the monstrosity known as the Unaffordable Care Act. You know what that is, right? It's Obamacare. It's a great name, Unaffordable Care Act. Nope. Did anybody ever think of that one before? It's true. It's the Unaffordable Care Act. Obamacare was a gift to make health insurance companies rich at the expense of the American people. In particular, the so-called enhanced premium tax credits were a corrupt payoff to the insurers, whose stock prices went up more than 1,000% after Obamacare was signed. I want the same money I want it to go directly, very simple. I want the money, those big amounts of money paid for by the government, to go directly to the people so they can buy the health care that's right for them. They can negotiate their own deal, health care savings account, but they'll buy their own health care. And everybody loves it. That's why later this week, I'll announce our healthcare affordability framework that will reduce premiums for millions of lower drug
I
prices,
hope he's right.
delivering
I
price
hope he keeps
transparency
his
and demand
words. I mean, like,
honesty and
for real.
accountability from insurance companies all over the country, all
Sounds
over the
great.
world, actually. Healthcare costs will come down very fast with my most
But
favored
still, though,
nation
healthcare for
executive
American
order. Look at
citizen,
most
that's
favored nation drug prices. When we would have drug prices stay the same, everybody thought it was great. They're going to be coming down thousands of percents. We're standing up to special interests and
it
slashing
sounds everything
prescription drug
sounds
prices
great,
by
even though a
300,
lot of
400,
things are
500,
not.
and even 600% and more. I mean, think of that. On that alone, we should win the midterms in a landslide. I'm doing favored nations. The country that pays the lowest price in the world is the price that we're going to pay. And we got that because of tariffs, because I said to the countries they wouldn't approve it. The drug companies were tough, but they were fine. But they said the countries will never do it because you have a pill that sells for $10, you have to sell it for 20 or 30, so you'd have to double or triple the price of their health care there for prescription drugs. Ours would come down from $130 to 20. Theirs would go from 10 to 20, the world being a bigger place. And it was unbelievable, but the countries wouldn't do it. So I called the countries. I said, if you don't do it, then I'm going to put a tariff on you. And the tariff's going to be 20 times more than the cost that you're having to pay for fair health care. And every one of them said, sir, we agree with you 100%. We would be honored to do it. It was really rather amazing. We could never do it. So think of that. You have most favored drug prices. Your drug prices are going to go down like from $100 to $10. Nobody can believe it.
Damn.
And we can't get the fake news to write about it. It's the biggest thing to happen in medicine. It's the biggest thing to happen in healthcare. And I cannot get the New York Times. I cannot
I'm
get
sorry for the
anybody to
skipped
write about
frames.
it. Well,
I'm
we
really
got it
sorry.
done and we announced it. It was on a page way in the back of the New York Times. Same with others. They don't want to talk about it. You know why? Because it's so good. It's the biggest thing to happen. Over the past 12 months, almost every promise I made to you right here in 2024 has been kept. I've kept all my promises and much more. I mean, I've given you much more than I gave you promises, and I produced much more than I said I was going to produce. I gave you the largest tax cuts in American history, cutting taxes across the board in the great, big, beautiful bill. And as I told you, I mean, who would have gotten you no tax on tips, as I said before. No tax, I said over and over again, no tax on overtime, no tax on Social Security for our seniors.
That's crazy.
Any senior should be voting for it. It's because the Democrats won't do this. It doesn't work for them. And we also made interest on car loans fully tax deductible, so that when you go out and buy a car, if you have a mortgage or you get a loan on a car, you're allowed to deduct interest for the first time ever. That's never happened before. But only for cars that are stamped with the beautiful words, made in the USA. In other words, we're only letting that take place if the car is made like in Detroit or in the USA. Our tax cuts also provided 100% bonus depreciation on all new equipment and capital investments, meaning that for any manufacturer looking to bring production back to America, you can write it all off, everything. Not in 38 years, not in 44 years, in 1 year. You write the whole thing off in 1 year. That's the biggest thing. I think that's the biggest thing. That's the big
Imagine
job.
that.
And I've cut an unprecedented number of burdensome regulations. We're number one in the history of our country in cutting regulations. I promised to cut 10 old regulations for every one new regulation. So if we put on a regulation, the only way I'll allow it to happen is if the secretary, like Scott Bessent, cuts 10 old regulations. But instead, last year we actually cut 129 regulations for every one that we put in. Think of that. So nobody's ever cut regulations like I have. I terminated the insane electric vehicle mandate and ended the war
Is that
on
true?
internal combustion engines. Once and for all, those engines were gone.
I don't know about that.
And if they like them, great.
I don't know
And if
about
they
the
like
last
electric,
one.
if they like any form of propulsion, any way you want to propel your car is okay, except for a couple of them, as I discussed. I permanently stopped Joe Biden's ridiculous CAFE standards. You know what the CAFE standards are? They're standards that make it
There's
impossible
people
for you to
propelling their
build a
car with water,
affordably.
and these people were killed. I say it like how I think it is. I actually think these people got killed.
They make it impossible for a guy
Sad.
to really work right. The cafe standards sound so nice. The cafe standards, it's environmental standards that are impossible to meet. And we're canceling the EPA's absurd tailpipe emission standard, one of the worst ever. And I revoked the California emissions waiver to stop San Francisco communists from regulating automobiles all over our nation, all over our world. Boy, have I have done so much for the car industry. It's crazy. Nobody thought it was possible to do this. And that's why your industry, and not everybody's in
That's
the
true.
car industry.
A lot of people
How
think
many
it's
people are in the
impossible, and
car
he proved them
industry in this
wrong.
room?
That's true.
In
That's
one way
true.
or another. That's a
At
lot.
least now he's
Lovely.
addressing Detroit because, like, the last
Another
50
urgent
minutes was
priority
about,
for
like,
bringing down the cost of living is to stop
stuff
the
that I've
colossal fraud
heard
that is
already. But
bleeding
it's
American
good to cover
taxpayers
everything in
absolutely
one.
dry. The fraud being committed by the Somali population in Minnesota. Have you
Oh
heard
my
of them?
God.
They're lovely people.
Yeah. Lovely
Is
people.
monumental.
Oh,
In
lovely
California, Illinois, New
people,
York, and
bro.
others are just as bad.
No.
Our country has been losing over $500 billion to fraud every single year, but those days are over. We have the best group you've ever seen assembled going after fraud. In
Yeah, I hope
Minnesota,
so.
we're cracking down on the
I hope
Somali
so.
scams, ending the brazen and shameless theft of taxpayer dollars. Well, it's going on in Maine, too, with Somalis. You know, and they don't take our ships anymore. You know why? We hit them with the same missile that we used to hit the drug dealers coming in with the boats. You know, we have drugs coming in by sea down 97%. You've seen that? 97%.
That's crazy. A
And
lot
we're
of people
trying
think it's not possible to take action against the cartel, but I think it's actually very, very possible. So, and he proves it. He proves them wrong. I mean, like, I think there's like now 20 to 50 mercenaries in those countries scattered, taking out cartels quietly, like some Ghost Recon type of shit. I actually think that's in place. That will be put in place.
really trying hard to find out who the hell is the other 3%. But we have them down 97%. And we're going to start hitting them by land, too. The hard part is done. By sea, nobody's coming. It hasn't been great for the fishing industry, however. Those that have a fishing boat, they're having a hard time getting customers. But you can't have everything. Nobody wants to go on boats.
That's crazy. He actually called them out, the fishermen. That's a quiet drug business.
And it's loaded up with hundreds of bags that you see cellophane with white. Typically, it's not fishing. How about the couple of submarines we took down? We took out 2 submarines, and the Democrats say they were fishing. No, they were submarines. They were actually, they build a very fast, it's a drug-carrying submarine. They have a lot of money. We took them out, and the Democrats claimed that they were fishing. We shouldn't ruin people's beautiful fishing journey. It's unbelievable what we have to go through. It's really a shame, actually. We've frozen all children's payments to those states that we're talking about, and we will now require proof of attendance in order to receive federal funding for child care or any of that. How about all these child care places in Minnesota where there is no children? They go there, they get paid millions and millions of dollars. The biggest operation in all of Minnesota had no children. And we paid
that's so crazy.
They're scammers. They always will be. And we're getting them out, and we're not going to pay them. We're not going to pay Minnesota. Right, Scott? We're not paying Minnesota any more money.
Yeah, you shouldn't.
Any of that crap. It's a big scam. It's a giant scam run by an incompetent, crooked governor. He's an incompetent, crooked guy. And also, we're freezing any and all welfare payments going to illegal immigrants that will start effective immediately. So when illegals come into California, Gavin Newsom, they come into California, and they send us bills for people coming in. We're not paying it. So we're working on that very strongly. Just don't pay it. As Nancy Reagan would say, just say no. You remember Nancy Reagan? Just say no to drugs. It's a little more difficult than that, I guess. Just say no. Additionally, from
you got to say no. Otherwise, they will trample over your life all the time.
You see, where 94% of them are in public assistance. You can't wire money out of the country back to your bank account from where you came. But more importantly, we probably aren't even going to give them the money anymore, the money going to them because of the tremendous abuse and probably illegality being perpetrated on our country. We're not going to give them the money. We're not giving them the money. It's massive numbers of people are scamming our country. You know, they came from a place with nothing, and they come here and they drive around in Mercedes-Benz. You know, the Mercedes-Benz dealers do well in that area of Minnesota. Can you believe it? They have nothing. They get welfare payments, and they have Mercedes-Benzes. It angers me so much, but we're going to straighten it out.
It's disgusting.
Done under Biden.
It was done under Biden, and Europe followed. And we have like the same problem. People are getting unemployed checks here, and like health insurance costs rise like every year so that immigrants can have health care. We provide them with health care. It's absolute bullshit. It should not work like that. It shouldn't. It should not. And that's why I respect him, because he addresses the problem publicly. And fuck everybody who thinks differently. I don't care. Lynch me for what I said. But he's actually doing what's right, and not always. Like I said, not always.
And Obama, very much under Obama. It all started under Obama. And we just can't. We got a great country. We're not going to screw it up. But this was one of the great scams ever. They have the same thing, Somali and Maine. Who would think? I never saw that happening. But in Maine, it's really crooked as hell, too. But it's not just Somali. It is them, but it's not just. There are many other places, many other people. The whole country, if we stop this fraud, this massive fraud, we're going to have a balanced budget. That's how much money you're talking. We'll have a balanced budget without all the growth I'm talking about. And then you add the growth, we got one hell of a country. We're giving 90-day notices to places like California, Scott. Right away, we're going to send out that notice.
That's good.
The federal government as people poured into the state to send those people back because no country can afford to do it. No country can afford to take in millions of people, pay for their education, their health care,
that's true.
their hospitals. You just can't do it. And we all have a heart. You can't do it. But many of those people are murderers. They're people released from jails, prisons, mental institutions, insane asylums. They're people that are drug dealers. They're addicts. Additionally, starting February 1st, we're not making any payments to sanctuary cities or states having sanctuary cities because they do everything possible to protect criminals at the expense of American citizens, and it breeds fraud and crime and all of the other problems that come. So we're not making any payment to anybody that supports sanctuary cities. We have also suspended nearly 8,000 SBA loans, Small Business Association loans, to suspected scammers in Minnesota, of which there are many. It's a great state.
8,000. Imagine that.
Destroyed.
I mean, Minnesota is big, but 8,000, my boy.
But he's a crook. I mean, he's
talking about Tim Walz, right?
He allowed this to go. You can't have.
Yeah.
You can't have corruption on a scale that nobody's ever seen before, and you're sitting as a governor and you don't know what's going on. It's impossible.
And we wanted him as a vice. You guys wanted him as a vice president?
Large-scale visa fraud.
I'm so glad. I'm glad that Trump took office. Everybody who wants to lynch me, go right ahead. But I'm actually very glad that he preserved you guys from a lot of shit. Oh my God, man. We need somebody like Trump. And you guys wanted him and Kamala as the main president of the main, like the president and Tim Walz as a. That would have been good night. I actually celebrated when Trump won. I was doing security work outside. It was like, for me, it was like 12 p.m. Yeah. Am I dumb? No, it was like 12 a.m. Like just like lunchtime, like 1 p.m. 11 a.m., 1 p.m. around that time when we like 6 hours ahead because that's what we are. And when I got the notification because I was following closely, and like after a certain time he gained his lead immensely, and then I knew like a lot of stuff will be good for like the next 4 years, possibly eight. We'll see. Not eight though, because it's already his third term. But he's doing, even though like with the Epstein file, and like yeah, he needs to be charged when the time comes. But for now, his presence is more important for the people. With Trump in jail, nothing is solved. And a lot of people need him. And I hope a lot of people recognize that. Not saying he's a good guy, not saying nothing. But his ability to help is right now more important than being charged.
And the Department of Justice has already charged nearly 100 people in criminal conspiracies in Minnesota.
It's true.
We're all over the place. Last week, we announced that I'm creating a brand new division at the Department of Justice, a legal strike force led by a really tough, smart new Attorney General for fraud. He's a fantastic young guy. He's so impassioned to do this properly. We intend to imprison any fraudster, politician, or public official involved in these sick plots to loot
Let's hope.
and pillage
Let's
our
hope so.
country.
These are big words, Trump.
Omar. She lives in Somalia. They don't have a government. They don't have a military. They don't have police. They don't have anything. All they have is murder and robbing ships, bringing in ships, pirates. That's stopped. Same missile, ping. That's the end of them. It's amazing how that can stop corruption. Those missiles, they never miss, you know. The same one, exactly the same one.
I love
But,
the way he speaks about taking out the whole group of people.
Here and she tells us about our Constitution. I have a constitutional right to rip off the country. I guess she's a total scam artist. Anybody knows it. How do you let her get away with it? AOC plus 3. She was one of the 3. They're all scammers. They're
That's
so
true.
bad for our country. They're so bad for our country. Our ICE operation in Minnesota, for example, is finding hundreds of killers, violent predators, and child rapists, some of the worst criminal offenders anywhere in the world, murderers all over the place. All we want to do is get them out.
Fair.
Did you see the pictures that we put up? Hundreds of them. Murderers wanted for murder, wanted for the worst drug selling. One of them is one of the biggest drug dealers in the world. And vicious. Sells bad drugs, too. Bad drugs, like if you take a tiny little morsel, your child is dead. And we're getting them. But it's hard to get them because they make it so impossible for you. And you wonder why. Why would they do that? You know, do they want to live with murderers? Do they want to live with these people that are emptied out from prisons? They have a lot of people. One of the reasons I was so angry with Venezuela, they emptied their prisons almost entirely into the United States of America.
I mean, like, I get it.
Was the gang.
A lot of people were kind of furious when he went on stage with Kamala Harris and said, like, yeah, they're eating our cats and dogs and stuff. And then he proved them actually wrong. Like, he proved that he was right. And that was, for me, that was the end of it. I'm like, dude, I get it. We have that immigration problem as well. We like immensely. And I respect ICE. Go get them. Go get every last piece of shit.
One of the worst, probably the most violent gang there is anywhere in the world.
Mara Salvatrucha 13, probably.
We've got a lot of them out already.
Barrio Locos 18.
We're also going to revoke the citizenship of any naturalized immigrant from Somalia or anywhere else who is convicted of defrauding our citizens. We're going to get them the hell out of here fast.
Yeah. I'm glad he...
And if you come to America to rob Americans, we're throwing you in jail and we're sending you back to the place from where you came. We're throwing you right in jail. And they know it, too. And one of the reasons
but they don't care.
These fake riots, I mean, they're just terrible. I mean, you see it's so fake. Shame, shame, shame. You see the woman. That's all practice. They go practice. They go to areas, they take hotel rooms, and they all practice together. It's a whole.
Have you seen that? Like after like his one of his speeches, like it wasn't even like a few hours later, people were already ready with signs out on the street. And like one guy pointed out, like, how are they ready so fast? These billboards are not made overnight by like some people. Like there was hundred thousands of them. And I'm like, yeah, that's kind of true. They're being paid. They're being paid. A lot of people are being paid. That it's an industry to discredit your opponent party.
Scam. We're finding out who's funding all this stuff too. We pretty much know. But in conclusion, as we liberate our country from this cultural scourge and the plague of corruption and fraud, we'll rediscover the natural energy and native spirit that truly makes America great again, like we're doing with Detroit and Michigan. If we get rid of
Let's
fraud
hope.
and do our job properly on the trillions that are being extorted out of our country from corrupt and incompetent governors like Gavin Newsom, J.B. Pritzker, and Tim Walz, we will very soon have a balanced budget, and that's the kind of money that we're talking about. We're talking about massive amounts of money. Our country wasn't built by people
Who's
who tried to
Gavin?
lie and cheat
Gavin
and
Newsom?
scam their
Is
way
that
to
the?
success. It was built by legends like Henry Ford,
Yeah,
Henry
He's
Dow,
finally being called
Tom.
out. Yeah, I've seen him. Yeah, he's that California mayor. Absolutely horrible. That guy is. Yeah, bro. That guy is an absolute piece of shit.
Edison, the Kellogg
He was like
brothers,
tweaking, like when he
Alfred
talked
P.
about the
Sloan, the
burn down
founder of General
houses.
Motors,
I'm like,
men who lifted up American workers and strengthened our nation beyond even belief. And we're doing the same exact thing right now. I think we're doing it even better. This is the fierce spirit of patriotic free enterprise that we're now unleashing once again. We are unleashing it like maybe never before. Together we have turned the page forever on the failed left-wing model that makes our America poor, desolate, and makes people feel sorry for us. That's what we had. We had a country where our leader was laughed at and our country was scorned. We had a country that was laughed at. They laughed at us. 2 years ago, they laughed at us. They thought we were fools. They thought we were stupid people. Now
some
we're
of
seeing
them
that they're
still
not the
do.
smart ones we are.
Sometimes me too.
But we have a great America, and we're going to enrich it in foreign nations, foreign migrants.
But until like a few months back, I didn't want to travel to the U.S. again, but because of all of that immigration problem, I did not want to. And I know they made it harder to enter the country, but not for Switzerland people, not from good countries. But I did not. I honestly had no urge to ever visit that country again. But starting to feel better. Starting. It's only the start. Nothing's changed yet. I know that. Let's hope a lot of it will.
Criminal fraudsters and corrupt politicians are not going to play a role anymore. They're going to be in jail. Under the Trump administration, we're reclaiming America's dignity, rebuilding America's wealth, and we're putting the productive, hardworking American citizen at the center of every single thing that we do. They were the
That's
ones that
what
built
every
America,
country should
and they
do.
will build it
Every
again, and that's what
country.
they're doing at levels nobody thought was possible.
That's
so today, after
also
less
true.
than 1 year, our border is secure. Remember, they talked about the border, how bad? In 3 weeks, I didn't go to Congress. I said, secure our border. And they did. Remember Biden, he said, I have to get approval from Congress. Had nothing to do with Congress, had to do with
That's true.
respect. Our spirit is restored. Inflation is stopped. Wages are up. Prices
It's
are down.
just
Our
the
economy
start.
is booming like
Don't
I
get
think
it
you'll see
fooled,
soon like
guys.
never before. Our military is
I
strong,
hope.
unprecedented. I rebuilt our military in my first term. Our workers are thriving, and our auto industry is returning to the country where we all
let it return
began
to
and where
Detroit,
it all
or like
began, and
let
frankly,
it
a
build in
country that we
Detroit.
love. The United States is winning again, and we're rapidly making America and the great state of Michigan greater and more prosperous than ever before. I want to again thank the Detroit Economic Club. You do a fantastic job, so respected. God bless you, and God bless America. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, Epstein files, they were completely swept under the rug. I know it's horrible. It's absolutely disgusting. But still, like I said before, his purpose is more important to serving people right now than to be in jail. But still, that has to happen. Something needs to happen with that, and it's absolutely disgusting. He stands on stage like yeah, like there's nothing, and that's just the word of politics. Yeah, inflation is not down. Legislation, there was a lot of stuff that was not good, but like that's the ability to see through the bullshit, right? Like there's some sentences that he says that is absolutely right, but like yeah, maybe the intent or like the purpose why you did it was right, but the way you did it is wrong. Or maybe some the other like the next time it could be the other way around. What you actually did is wrong and is full of bullshit and lies, but something had to happen, you know? So but he secured the border. He actually did. The border was secured. I remember Biden saying, yeah, I need approval from Congress. I remember that. And like I said, there's truth behind the lies and there's lies behind the truth. Like your ability to see through the bullshit. That's all it takes. Thank you for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, turn on notifications. Not quite sure if I said it in the beginning, but we hop right into that. So, see ya.